and it gives a total. It gives totals of all of the animals that are being killed for human consumption. It's crocodiles, it's alligators, it's sea urchins, it's camels, it's pigeons, it's horses, it's dogs, it's cats, it's all kinds of reptiles. I'm saying that this issue of denying other ones their lives and then feeding off of their body parts, creating rot, maggots, parasites, bacteria, organisms that are now feeding in the body, traveling through the bloodstream, burrowing in the brain, in the heart, in the organs. So when we talk about cellular oppression, we're talking about the cell is no longer intelligence. It has not been given the electromagnetic frequency and energy. The cells are literally becoming so acidic that people are now having to have hip replacement surgeries. They're having to have back surgeries because there's no connective tissue between their vertebrae. They're having to have rotator cuff surgeries. All of this because their bodies are being fed and their cells are carrying so much acid, so much artificial color, so much alcohol, so much tobacco residues, brain cells, liver cells, lung cells. We're made with cells, and our cells are being poisoned, and therefore our blood is poisoned. Now we can cleanse. Many of us, when we were children, had a craving for chalk, cornstarch, argo starch, dirt. And there are many ones that I've spoken to over the years who remember that. And some of their parents are still eating cornstarch, but it was the actual clay that's coming from the earth that has the minerals. See, the beef, the pork, the chicken, the fish don't have minerals. They got worms, they got bacteria. They don't have minerals to charge the cells, right? So the cells are now having all of this waste. And then you're seeing people's bodies blow up. You're seeing men look like they're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 months pregnant because they're not eating anything that the body can utilize as fuel. But whose business is these? These are not even our businesses. We are not in the business of raising thousands of pigs and chickens and all of this and slaughtering them and serving their body parts to people. It's not our business, but we're consuming it. Our cells are units of intelligence that are perfectly and divinely designed to be regenerating, to be renewed, to be revitalized. Now, the spirit that we each are and the words that we speak, if we are resubstantiating our bodies to be 80% highly charged water, knowing that water is the medium of intelligence, it holds frequency and vibration. And this is why we were told through fasting and prayer, the desires of your heart will be granted unto you. The fasting is not just doing without food. The fasting is more hydration. We're not getting hydration. We're not getting water from meat. We're not getting water from eggs. We're not getting water from oatmeal and porridge and grits. And we're not getting hydrated from any of that. And the dehydration that comes from eating that is causing the bowels to be backed up. And constipation, from my experience with all of my clients who've been diagnosed with cancer, cancer is literally chronic constipation over years. It is acidity in the cells, and the cells begin to lose their inherent programming for regeneration, rejuvenation, revitalization, and they begin to deteriorate rapidly. What do? Be committed to our cleansing. The body is so intelligent that from the day we came out of our mother's womb, somebody bathed us until we could bathe ourselves. From 2 years later, when we had all of our teeth, they taught us to brush our teeth. And unless there's some seriously mitigating circumstances, the majority of the people will bathe and brush their teeth on a daily basis. We'll wash between the legs, the crack of the buttocks, up under the scrotum, between the toes, under the arms. Even if you're doing a bird bath, you're going to hit those spots, right? But then we're not doing anything to cleanse internally what we're consuming. is creating waste, and we're retaining waste. And this is the foundation of the obesity. This is a foundation of why it is that we are and have been able to matriculate through the systems of miseducation and get degreed, we get positions, and now we're maintaining the system of oppression as teachers, as doctors, as lawyers, as presidents, as popes, as pastors. You understand? Everybody has been affected by this. And so therefore everybody needs cleansing.
What do you say to people who are so busy going to work and studying and doing everything in life, but they don't have time to eat right, eating fast food, and they're not cleansing? Not that they don't know they should be cleansing, because as Caribbean people and African people, we've been told to cleanse and get a wash out every so often. And when children were going back to school after a long holiday, Grandma used to get the bush herb and make the herb tea. You know, it's in our tradition, but everybody's too busy now.
You know, when I was in Jamaica and I did 5 radio shows and 5 workshops and whatnot, and the sisters were like, "Me don't want to be MAGA." It's like they don't want to lose the waist. They want to feel voluptuous or whatever. They don't want to be skinny. And I'm saying is that at this particular point in time, we get what we ask for. We get what we apply ourselves to. I'm just trying to set the bar much, much higher so that what we want is to be truly successful in our living. But that is to be able to live without creating sickness, illness, and disease. Right now, we've got so many women who are walking without their breasts, walking without their uteruses, walking without their fallopian tubes, walking without the knowing of the divinity and the sanctity and the sacredness of their bodies, walking with so much shame, so much guilt, so much diagnosis, so much pharmacology. So it's like, no, if you don't want to cleanse, then do what you do, but you're going to reap a harvest that is consistent with that. And our partaking of the violation of violated beings means that what we do unto others is being done unto us, and people don't get it. And I'm saying, you're eating the fetuses of another being. The egg. What is the egg? It is the genetic information, chromosomes and hormones of another being. That's indigestible protein. We can't do anything with it. And so it clogs. It begins to just build up around the blood vessels, the arteries, and all of that. And we are in a place where now you get the high blood pressure because the blood is not pumping. The heart has to work harder. And then they put you on medication. And the medication is not cleansing. The medication is not oxygenating. The medication is not hydrating. The medication is not facilitating elimination. The medication is creating more acidity. The medication gives this thought that we could just take the medicine and keep eating that which our bodies don't know what to do with. We are designed for mineralization through hydration, oxygenation, to alkalize our systems for consistent cellular repair, regeneration. And that's what constitutes real health and the capacity to outthink a system that undermines ourselves and our children. See, we have to outthink this at this particular point. That's why I'm saying our time now is to rise, but we cannot rise if we are not respecting our perfect and divine design. We cannot rise if we don't care to allow the chicken her freedom, the hen her freedom, the cow her freedom, the bull his freedom, the pig her freedom. You understand? And so much of the animals are female. And so we're in a place and space now where what we do unto others is being done unto us. And we were told to love, because love is the fulfillment of the law, but love is the harmony of the truth, that we are all dwelling in the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence as points of presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence. So there's a saying, Oshun, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes.
But the sugar Now, many of our ancestors were enslaved behind sugar. Sugar literally undermines the will. Where there's a will, there's a way. So if you want to be cleansed, if you want to reverse your issues, you want to do it, you're gonna find a way to do it. You'll do it. But you got to activate your will. You have to activate your care, because you will not do something you don't care to do. And if you don't care to walk in the fullness of who you are, to honor the glory and the lineages through whom you come, you won't do it. But then what's on the other side of that? If you can get out the body as a dead person, who receives you in the spirit world when you've been disobedient, when you have not honored, when you did not love, when you did not care, when you did not try, when you had no effort, when you just enjoy being full of all of this garbage, and you loved being full of garbage. You fought for your right to be wrong for almost every day of your life. Well, God gave me the free will. It's my free will to eat what I want. I'm saying, right? And that's why the cancer is there, the heart disease is there, the strokes are there, the heart attack is there. I was like, no, do what you do, baby. But I'm saying you won't have the glory of participating with our rise. And women, because we have been entrusted by the cosmic as the perpetuators of our lineages, it is not acceptable for us not to care. It is not acceptable for us to be in a place where we feel like we have the right to do whatever the hell we want to do while our children are being poisoned with all of this garbage, all this artificial colors, all this artificial flavors and whatnot. I'm just saying, no, you want to be respected as an intelligent person. Understand that intelligence is what you've been given, but intelligence doesn't kill itself. That which we refer to as God did not put us here so that we could be out of alignment, so that we be slave and commodity under another people who hate us. And so it's political. Our liberation cannot be legislated. Our liberation cannot be something that organizations decide, oh, well, it's a few of us who are going to liberate everybody. No, a few cannot liberate masses of people. Masses of people have to care about their own personal alignment with that which is beating their heart and breathing them. We pay attention to everything these people do without loving that which is beating your own heart and breathing you. We're perfectly and divinely designed. We are not designed to be killing ourselves. Janice, you having any comments, questions? No, it's a lot.
Adama, Shanice, go ahead, please.
No, it's a lot.
Yeah, rise up. Yeah, rise up, Herodes Adama. The message that you're bringing to us today, I think for myself, and maybe for most of my audience, not all, but for most of my audience, is a very interesting and enlightening perspective on life itself, on our body, and how we ought to feed our body in order to be able to experience the highest heights of our existence. So it's a very deep message itself, because I'm sure everybody would want to be able to experience the potential heights that we could experience, and why we're here. And
Right.
You're sharing with us really what is stopping us and what is getting in the way
Right.
of us actually experiencing that queendom or that kingdom experience. So it's a really, really important message. And we talk about spirituality a lot, and what you're sharing with us actually is blending spirituality with our existence, our lineage, how it's linked to what we eat, how it's linked to how we honor our bodies, how it impacts on our wellness. And so this, for most of us, if if we want to start feeding our cellular self in the correct way, would require a considerable change. And you know, you you said this is a pivotal time and a key time for us to be rising as a people. But for many of us, the change will be drastic, because we've been conditioned to eating the cow, the chicken, the additives, preservatives, and everything else. And so, were you at one time maybe consuming some of this stuff? And if so, what was the process for you to, make the change that you needed to make in order to reach that higher self? And just remind us of the benefits and why we ought to be trying to do that for ourselves, goodness.
I grew up on it with all of that. Most of our families. I talk about salvation. I said our first degree of salvation is that we were saved from our families, our parents. Because each generation, this is the methodology of the oppression, is to have us in a place where our blood is being defiled. So I grew up, but I was in and out of hospitals the entire time I was little, elementary school. But it wasn't until college at the University of Florida, 30,000 students of the 30,000, 1,500 were Black. Blacks didn't start going to the University of Florida until 1972. I was admitted in the class of 1975. In my junior year, in my sociology course, I was a sociology minor with a psychology major. And so in my junior year, the statistics were saying 20,000 Black Americans die every year from sugar diabetes. Another 15,000 die every year from complications from obesity. Another 12,000 are dying from cancer of the lungs. Another 8,000 from cancer of the liver. Another 6,000 from kidney failure. And then by the time they begin to factor in our single-headed households, our divorce rate, our quote-unquote illegitimate children, our teenage pregnancies, our abortion rate, our incarceration, our juvenile delinquency. It was like a tally was formed to say, well, because at least 70% of you all are affected by all of these things, this is the evidence of your inherent inferiority to us. 30,000 students, 1,500 were Black. And that's when I began to question, and I raised my hand and I asked, what's the cause, what's the cure? They say, we don't have a cause, we don't know the cure, but because of affirmative action, you're a double minority, you're both Black and female, you can get paid for doing the research. And that was piss poor and pathetic for me, because I didn't go to school to do research. I really didn't even want to go to school. I never felt like going to college was going to make me, all right? My mother made me go, because I come from those kinds of ones who think that college is the thing that you do. So I did it, right? But the issue is that if I'm in school and my mother is working to make sure that my room, my board, my fees, everything is paid, and then you have no answers as to why this is affecting my people this way. So I went directly to God. Show me what this is. Show me what this is. And it reminded me that at 7, I didn't want to eat the meat. At 7, I was throwing my parents' cigarettes away. At 7, I was throwing their alcohol away. At 20, I'm smoking, I'm drinking, and I'm still eating the meat. But everybody around me is doing it. We had a pub on campus, so you could go and have beer and drink all day and all night. You understand? I'm just saying is that to be put in an adulterated situation at the age of 17. I went to college at 17. All right. And so here I am at 19 going on 20, and I'm questioning why it is nobody's questioning anything. You just go get your degree, you're going to go get a job, you're going to go do this, and you're going to do this till you die. And what I realized with that opening is that we just want to be in a place. Hold on just a second.
I think you said I'm in the door from.
Janice.
I've lost.
And so we just.
I seem to have lost. Oh,
Hold on. And so
She's
just
has returned.
coming to this
yeah,
place in
is
space.
coming right back, family.
Yeah, coming to this place in space of realizing that everybody.
Yeah, your video.
That,
If you could put
There.
everybody was affected by this.
my
But
sis, your video is off. Can you put your video?
Oh, right. So everybody, our professors, my students, everybody's eating all of this stuff. So I looked at whose businesses are these, and I realized that these are not our businesses. The alcohol was not our business. The sugar is not our business. The chicken wasn't our business. None of it was our businesses, but they're everywhere in our communities. And so I went on a personal economic boycott. I'm not giving my mother no goddamn dime. I'm not giving you another dime. And I went from eating absolutely everything to having fruit in the morning, huge salads in the evening. I went from 127 pounds to 103 in less than 45 days with no additional exercise. All right. And so the issue is that my head got so clear that I did not have to literally labor over my books anymore. I could read the chapter, go to class, hear what was not being said, read between the lines, and ask the critical questions. And I brought my professors to their freaking knees. They cried like babies with me. So that showed me that the cleaner we are, the greater we can think. I realized that I had not been thinking the entire time. The education process was pretty much just regurgitating information. They don't even challenge you to be able to think. They're not challenging us to be able to say, oh, well, if you do deprivation studies where you take baby primates from their mother, and the longer you withhold the baby from its mother, it will become dysfunctional. And the longer it goes, it's going to become more dysfunctional. And if you deprive it of its mother, it will die. So if you know that, then why do you set up hospitals in a place where you'll take the baby from its mother, and put it in a nursery over here, away from its mother? If you know that. If you know, and I was a psychology major, that in an overcrowded situation, mother rats will eat their young, then why do you build housing that is creating overcrowded situations and then see our abortion rate go up? We're not making the connections. And so the clarity of mind. So this is what really started for me. Now here we are 47 years later. And I've seen so many vegan vegetarians pass away because nobody really made a proper estimation and guesstimation as to how much nitrates, nitrites, BHA, BHT, artificial colors, artificial flavors are still in our bloodstream from the way in which we were raised as children with hot dogs and hamburgers and nitrates and nitrites. The BHA, the BHT preservatives that were in our breakfast cereals, the artificial colors and flavors that were in our breakfast cereals, the synthetics that were in our breakfast cereals. These chemicals are not designed to get out of our bodies. But the body is so intelligent that when you stop feeding from all of this, it moves into cleanse mode. So now we're having the responsibility to really facilitate the cleansing internally. How do we do that? By oxygenating more intensely when we rise, hydrating, and then we have the clay. Now, many of us, when we were pregnant, we crave clay. You have any recollection of that, Shanice? Of the craving of clay during pregnancy, the eating of dirt as a child?
No, I don't.
All right, many of us do here in the States.
As a child, yes, eating dirt, yes.
Right, so all right, so that's the issue. We feel like, it's better to eat the flesh of a dead animal than eat the dirt of the earth. And I'm saying, no, we're having to get the dirt to help get rid of all of the stuff that came into the body with the flesh of dead animals, because it's not just the flesh you're getting chemicals, you're getting preservatives, you're getting bacteria, you're getting worms, you're getting organisms. And most of the disease, regardless of what they call it, is by virtue of the proliferation of the organisms that are in the organs. So if it's diabetes, they're in the pancreas. If it's heart disease, they're in the heart. So if it's liver disease, they're in the liver. So we're having to really cleanse. And so I have been providing what I refer to as inspirational lifestyle change consulting. Been doing this for almost 25 years, the whole same 25 years that I have been doing radio with the meeting of the inner circle on WRFG.org, really speaking to the issues because we have been inundated with the propaganda coming from advertisers for our commercials during our Saturday morning cartoons. You understand? We wanted to have all of this stuff, and this is the issue: is that a people who undermine their children, and we got it when we were children. But each generation is being assaulted with more chemicals than the previous one. With the Hot Pockets, with the Cheetos, with the Doritos, with the Takis. I mean, all of this stuff that is marketed to children that is full of behavior modifying chemicals. So this is where I started at the age of 20 because I really got to a point then, Shanice, where I didn't really want to live. I could not justify in my mind why it is that I would be working for the next 50 years just to generate money, trading in like you trade shoes and birth babies that grow up to serve the devil's purposes. In my mind, I could miss that. And it was as a result of a social movements class where the professor, it's like the first thing you do on the first day of class is really write down what it is you want to accomplish in your life. For me, I wanted to be the progression of us and what I saw at the March on Washington in 1963 with Dr. King and all of those ones. I knew I should be progression of us as a people. I knew that we all should be progression of us as a people. But listening to the voices of Dr. King and Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and Adam Clayton Powell and all of the ones who were the voices of the Black Power movement, the Civil Rights movement, and whatnot, when I came out of that class that night, I made a commitment. Let me live to make a difference in this world, or let me not live at all. But I refuse to be enslaved. And just because I made that commitment at 20 does not mean that I don't consistently and continuously recommit. To live and to have been given life is a commitment that is God's commitment to us. The universe is committed to us. It has not stopped doing anything that it does. But we cannot be unwilling participants in the glory of God and think that we'll have the glory of God. You have to participate with this. You have to really activate every fiber of your being with your care, with your love, with your reverence, with your respect, treasuring and cherishing the gift and the blessedness in being. And being in a place where you are all right with being all right. You are all right with holding on to your uterus. When they tell you got fibroids in your uterus and we need to take it out, don't believe that. You can be healed. And see, here in the States, years ago, they wouldn't allow us in their hospitals. So our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers were doing all of the healing. I'm sure that's what's been happening all over the world. But all of a sudden, we're not capable of healing ourselves anymore. We have to go into a medical system that prefers to take our breasts, take our thyroids, take our glands, take our organs, take it, as opposed to telling us that we just need to cleanse the body. So it's our time to get beyond this. It's our time to reclaim our footing upon the path of eternal life. It's our time to be in a place where we are beholding to that which is beating our hearts and breathing us. We are loving being with our whole body, heart, mind, with all of our might, because there's not a freaking thing that these people can give us that is greater than who and what we already are, butt naked. But then we don't respect ourselves. We feel like we got the right to be inebriated, intoxicated, full of garbage, and then want to be respected as intelligent people. They don't have that for us. And so I'm calling the sisterhood forward. Women all over the world, women, whatever hue you are, from the blackest black to the lightest light, it is our time to be decisive that we will serve life. It is our time to be in a place and space where we understand that we have shared history of incest, rape, violation, and all of that. We have the reality of our mothers and grandmothers and great grandmothers having been oppressed. And so, no, we rise on behalf of all of those ones, on behalf of those ones who fought, those ones who were slain, those ones who were raped and violated and beaten, those ones who were hung. I'm just saying, at this particular point in time, no, let's have a commitment on behalf of the ones through whom we've come. Let's have a commitment to glorify and honor life itself. But every being has the right to its life.
Steve, Haroldess.
Yes, ma'am.
We have to reach a point where we stand up and